Thank you so much for staying with us here on the SportsMax Zone. Well, the Reggae Boys announced their squad for the upcoming Copa America on Wednesday, but what was meant to be a routine process is now shrouded in controversy. It surrounds the star winger Leon Bailey, who was listed in the original 26-man setup, but his agent Craig Butler quickly took to social media to say his charge was in fact unavailable. This is what Butler said. Jamaica, we are bigger than this. This is 2024. We all know that football on field success cannot be achieved without off-field success. Good administration equals great results. Leon and I require some basic administrative improvements. We recommend that the following be addressed. 1. Review of player contracts to address matters of security, long-haul travel and rooms. 2. Review and monitoring of employee contracts to improve employee-player relations. 3. Adopting global standards relating to communication with the players. 4. Adopting global standards relating to the determination of player affiliation. Number 5. Immediately addressing the clear perception of or reality of conflict of interest at the level of the technical committee chairman. We believe that, as in the case globally, the chairman of the technical committee should not hold any club affiliation. Out of many, one people. In March, Reggae Boys head coach Hemir Hallgrimsson announced that Bailey was excluded from the squad because of disciplinary issues arising from last November's CONCACAF Nations League quarter-final triumph against Canada. Bailey then announced he was taking a break from national representation. And until Butler's post went viral on Wednesday night, head coach Hemir Hallgrimsson had welcomed the 26-year-old back into the fold and even explained the process that led to his inclusion.
The talk was between his agent and the JFF, so I would like to give a lot of credit to Greg and to Mr. Chong. So they sorted out whatever was the issue between him and the JFF. So after that, I think he has always wanted to represent Jamaica. And I don't want to talk much about what went on a meeting I wasn't attending, but I'm just grateful that this happened and this was resolved. And well, we have been talking about some of the issues that he was talking about, so we share the same thoughts in so many matters. And hopefully it will just help, like we said before, hopefully it will just help us to grow, continue to improve, continue to become more professional, etc. And he can say, I did my part in that. So I think it will in the end lead to something good.
So given that, where and how did communication between the JFF and Craig Butler break down? Well, Michael Ricketts, the Jamaica Football Federation president, sought to provide context earlier on Thursday.
Yeah, you speak with the players' club or the players' agent. In this case, Butler got in contact with the General Secretary. The General Secretary made it very clear, and of course he was coming with his conditions. The General Secretary made it very clear that he does not select the team, and the questions he is asking are to be asked of the coach. He wants other players to be selected with, of course, Leon Bailey. And he wants players in the under-20 and he wants players in the senior team in exchange for Bailey. The General Secretary told him, no, I can't deal with that. He called the coach and he told the coach that Bailey would not be available for the first game, but he would be for the remaining 2 games. Butler called the coach and said that to the coach. Having said that to the coach, having told the course that Bailey would be available for the second and third game. The coach named Bailey as part of the squad.
And on a Thursday afternoon, Hallgrimsson put his final thoughts to the saga.
He decided not to want to play for Jamaica. That's his decision, and that's every player's right to refuse to play for the nation, and he opted to do that, not to play for Jamaica. End of story for me. Absolutely end of story. Now I would like just everyone to focus on those players that want to play for Jamaica and want to represent Jamaica, and let's put our focus and support to those players.
All right, so let's now take a quick look on the squad. What do we have here? The goalkeepers, Andre Blake, Kanaya Boyce-Clark, Jamali Waite and Shaquan Davis. Defenders, Amari Bell, Damian Lowe, Dexter Lembekisa, Deshaun Bernard, Ethan Pinnock, Greg Lee, Michael Hector, John Bell, Richard King and Wesley Hardin. For the midfielders, Alex Marshall, Bobby Reed, Joel Latibade, Karoy Anderson, Casey Palmer and Kevin Lambury. The forwards are Damari Gray, Kaheem Dixon, Michael Antonio, Ronaldo Sifas and Shamar Nicholson. Well, you see Leon Bailey there in green because he has, of course, announced that he is unavailable, at least up to this point. So team, a lot here to unpack. I was actually at the unveiling of the squad, so at that point in time, no clue whatsoever that Leon Bailey was unavailable. As a matter of fact, all the people in attendance were so happy because this meant really good news. It meant positive news, especially for the football fans and the Jamaica football-loving public that have a lot of time and a lot of respect for Leon Bailey. So at that point in time, it was a really good look because it meant that all these issues were now dealt with, put aside, until, of course, that tweet, no, it was an Instagram post. That Instagram post came out. And, a lot of questions and everybody now in a frenzy because what had just happened.
Yeah. Lance and Mariah, the GFF is not learning, And this is the biggest disappointment for me in this situation. And I have listened to Coach Hemir Hallgrimsson. I have listened to Dennis Chung on a local radio show earlier today. I listened to Michael Ricketts, the president of the Jamaica Football Federation, and all I could hear, there was a meeting, yes, between Craig Butler, the agent of Leon Bailey, and Dennis Strong, the general secretary of the Jamaica Football Federation. There was a phone call between Craig Butler and the coach Hemir Hallgrimsson. There were certain demands made on the part of Mr. Butler. Dennis Strong said that he said to him that, well, we can't meet this, we can't meet that. The one thing I didn't hear, Lance and Mariah, was anybody saying, having had the meeting, after the discussion with the coach, we then sent Mr. Butler an email or a letter to say, as per our discussion, or discussions in this case, this is what we have agreed. Please respond in writing to confirm that Mr. Bailey is available to represent the country at the COPA America tournament. No, in the absence of doing that, for me, Lance and Mariah, in any professional environment, that must be done. But especially when you are dealing with individuals who have proven problematic in the past, or you are dealing with individuals, let me say it another way, where the relationship has been problematic in the past. So the fact that the GFF is coming to this stage, finding themselves in this situation, they have only themselves to blame.
Yeah, I think communication has been a bugbear with the Jamaica Football Federation, not only externally and their public relations setup, but evidently internally as well. And we've seen cases of this in the past. But this is a very, very farcical story because it looks embarrassing that you have named a squad and within hours you have to adjust the squad within minutes.
Try minutes.
Within minutes, yes. So this is hugely disappointing. I looked at the body language of Coach Hallgrimsson today in the insert that we just presented, and he to me, he looks forlorn, but he obviously wants to move ahead with the project and is putting a face forward to say, let's go, because this is now behind us. But given what we had seen just hours before when the team was announced, when his narrative was completely the opposite, welcoming Leon Bailey into his setup, which
and crediting Mr. Chong.
And being really positive.
Yeah, for striking a deal to get things ironed out, because Bailey had taken a break from the football for some time. Having said that, I listened closely to Hallgrimsson, and he did suggest, based on what I heard him say, that some of the things that Bailey would be unhappy about are issues he shares as well. In other words, he believes that there needs to be an upgrade in the professionalism of the performance of the Jamaica Football Federation. I don't think I heard him wrong. He did say he shared some of the concerns that Bailey had. But this was in a moment when he's now, I don't want to say confused, but this is a confusion and chaos surrounding the story. You know, and it just is hugely disappointing for me that it has gotten to this point.
It's interesting that you bring up that point, right, Lance? Because I wanted to go down a similar road as well. The first thing I'll say, I don't think any player, any agent, any manager should be holding the National Association at ransom. And if what the JFF president, Michael Ricketts, is saying is true, and if what Dennis Strong has said is true, that Mr. Butler was willing to exchange Leon Bailey's participation at COPA for some other of his players getting into the national setup, then that is highly problematic.
It is.
Because no association can sit and have that happen. And it's also why it needed to be so important that a lot of this that we're now hearing word of mouth from the Jamaica Football Federation needed to be documented in such a way that there is no go around.
Yes, irrefutable.
Irrefutable. And that has not been the case. But outside of that, at some point, as an association, you have to take the decision that we are going to do this by the book. And doing it by the book might mean that Leon Bailey does not go to COPA America. But that's okay. That's okay, because it must be understood. Because remember, Leon Bailey is asking for professionalism. This is part of professionalism. The professionalism might end up meaning that you don't go to COPA, which Leon Bailey has said he's taking a break.
Yeah, he has made that clear. He said he wanted to take a break, and that was said, a couple of times. It's not one time that he said he needed some time. Yeah, he needed some time away from the sport, and he wanted to spend it with his family. Even in an interview I watched this morning, where Craig was saying, he's using the time to spend it with his family.
Can I be honest with you? If I were the coach, and I spoke with Leon Bailey, or his agent, and he said to me, well, Leon Bailey could be available, but he wouldn't be able to join for the first match, and he would come for the second match. Oh, and by the way, I don't know if this was said, but he has a party on the 21st of June. I would say, you know what, thank you very much. It's okay. Let's continue this discussion after COPA. Let's deal with this, and then we'll pick this up after COPA. A party? I'm not sure what shape you're going to turn up at my tournament in. What frame of mind you're going to turn up at my tournament in after your party. Remember, this was the same party that Leon Bailey told us that he was not going to miss because he had planned this party, at least I think it is. But no, the moment I hear that, Lance and Mariah, I start thinking that even when you come, you could be more of a disruption to a squad that is in place and preparing and already in the groove of playing football. I don't want that type of distraction. And maybe this is where I am disappointed with Coach Hemir Hallgrimsson. And one more thing quickly. I listened to Craig Butler, and he was essentially saying that they had the discussion with the JFF, and he told the JFF not to make any announcement until he spoke to Leon Bailey. But the deadline was yesterday. Everybody knew that the squad was going to be announced last night. So when did you want the JFF to make the announcement? Next week? Was the JFF supposed to sit and wait until next week? Because we know when the deadline is.
Yeah.
So at what stage were you planning as the player's agent to get in contact with the JFF and say this is the final decision?
Yeah, I think what is at play here, Mariah and Ricardo, is the combative nature of the relationship between Craig Butler and the JFF at the moment.
That's what you think?
That's part of it.
Let
Because
me ask you something, Sir Lance. If you were a JFF president, do you think this would still be happening? Do you think there is potential for a combative relationship if you were a JFF president?
Maybe not, but I think part of the problem is the JFF's incompetence that they have displayed as an administrative body, which to me attracts some of the combat that they've been engaging in. But what I just want to say quickly here.
I want to know why you're laughing. But
I want to say quickly though that he listed some things, Craig Butler, that has to be put in place, and some of the things aren't unreasonable.
Yeah.
The fact is, though, that Leon Bailey is not the only elite player in the setup, and there aren't other players in the setup taking his stance. I guess there are times when someone has to lead the way.
Yeah.
But the JFF has some addressing to do, as Hallgrimsson said.
Well, Dennis Strong addressed quite a few of those earlier today. You know.
Yeah, because if you're doing it for one...
He addressed the security, where he said that he had the conversation, and again, hate this thing about having the conversation as opposed to it being in writing.
Yeah.
But he said he had the conversation with Craig Butler, and the conversation was, well, we can't provide personalized security
for one player.
For one player when we go to COPA. COPA will have security for all the players. As it relates to the flights, he said to him that for all the players, the JFF books premium economy, and if they want an upgrade,
they can do it.
They can do the upgrade, and other players have agreed to it and done it. He spoke about access to the player Leon Bailey. He said that was a matter for the management staff at each event or on each occasion, which is fair. So apparently those issues were addressed in the meeting.
Yeah, but you would concede, though, Ricardo, that there's a trust issue with the JFF, and there are times players
all the more reason that you should document it.
Agree on issues with the JFF, and it turns out that the trust is compromised.
But Lance, all the more reason that it should have been documented.
I agree with that part.
No, I agree.
I'm just responding to you saying that Dennis Chung had addressed it. And I'm saying there's a trust issue.
No,
so
fine.
even though he may have addressed
that's just for information's sake.
Okay,
I'm not trying to assess the situation. I'm just giving the information that it was addressed, and this is how it was addressed. By the way, we have to go to break. Where is Whisper?
You tell me.
Yeah, but what I want to say, though...
We can't hear him.
Lance, come on. All right, well, our producer, of course, saying we're out of time for this segment, but it's something we're going to be following very, very closely as we build up to COPA and continue to bring you all the latest updates. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, I think Lance might be heading to the track.